Denny Hamlin won Stage 2 of the Coca-Cola 600. He led 75 laps. He had the fastest car in the field for long stretches of the night and had engineered his entire race strategy around dominating the final 50 laps. He finished third. And the reason he finished third is the same reason NASCAR fans have been arguing about stage cautions for years. Hamlin is done staying quiet about it, and what he said on his own podcast is going to force a conversation that the sport has been avoiding. Denny Hamlin was the dominant car for significant stretches of Sunday's rain-shortened Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. He started 11th, climbed into the top 5 by the end of Stage 1, won Stage 2, and led 75 laps total, more than any driver in the race outside of the late race chaos. His strategy was built around a strong finish. The team had prepared specifically for a powerful run in the closing 50 laps, and by his own assessment, the car was ready to deliver it. Then the rain came. Daniel Suarez, who had gone a lap down earlier in the race due to a loose wheel issue, recovered on a two-tire call that launched him into the lead just before the skies opened. When NASCAR called the race at lap 373, 27 laps short of the full distance, Suarez was out front and Hamlin was third with no laps left to close the gap. On his Actions Detrimental podcast afterward, Hamlin went directly at the structural decision that he believes cost him the stage caution format. His argument is specific. The mandatory caution laps at the end of each stage burned race distance that could have allowed the 600 to be completed before the rain arrived. Stage cautions were introduced to NASCAR in 2017 as part of a broader effort to increase competitive action, generate more green flag pit strategy windows, and create natural narrative breaks within races for broadcast purposes. The concept was simple: divide races into segments, reward stage winners with points, and use the mandatory caution at each stage end to bunch the field and reset the competitive order. The criticism of the format has never gone away. Purists argued from the beginning that manufactured cautions distort the natural flow of competition. Fans who value green flag racing as the truest test of speed and strategy saw the stage system as a concession to entertainment over competition. That debate has simmered in the background of every NASCAR season since 2017. The Coca-Cola 600 adds a specific dimension to this argument that most races do not have. It is the longest race on the calendar. 4 stages instead of the usual 3. More mandatory caution periods, more laps spent circulating behind a pace car at a race that is already pushing the limits of what weather and daylight allow on a May evening at Charlotte. Hamlin is coming off an all-star race win at Dover Motor Speedway. He is a veteran driver with championship experience, a co-owner of 23XI Racing, and one of the most analytically minded voices in the garage. When he criticizes NASCAR's race format, it is not a frustrated driver venting after a bad result. It is a credentialed insider making a structural argument backed by 20-plus years of competitive data. The timing also matters. The race was shortened not by an unavoidable sudden storm, but by rain that was visible and trackable on radar for hours beforehand. Hamlin's core argument that the race structure burned enough time in caution laps to prevent completion before the weather arrived is not a conspiracy theory. It is a timeline question that the race data either supports or does not. Let's engage with Hamlin's argument on its actual merits because it deserves more than a dismissal. The Coca-Cola 600 ran 373 of 400 laps before rain ended it. Of the laps that were completed, a meaningful portion were run under caution, stage cautions, incident cautions, and the final weather caution that triggered the red flag. In a race where the finish was already racing against an approaching weather system. Every lap spent under yellow is a lap that could have been run at competitive speed and would have brought the race closer to completion before conditions deteriorated. Hamlin's specific point, that he wished the field could have moved things up an hour or trimmed the caution periods, is less about a rule change and more about race management flexibility. NASCAR has the ability to shorten stage lengths or compress caution periods under specific circumstances. The question Hamlin is implicitly asking is, why wasn't that lever pulled on a night when the weather radar was telling teams exactly what was coming? The counterargument is straightforward. NASCAR cannot predict with certainty how fast a weather system will move, and making real-time adjustments to a 600-mile race based on radar forecast opens the door to strategic manipulation and fan confusion. The stage structure exists partly because broadcast partners and sponsors have built commercial frameworks around it. You cannot simply eliminate stage cautions on the fly without cascading downstream effects, but Hamlin is not asking for elimination. He is asking for compression, shorter stage cautions, tighter transitions, more green flag laps per hour of race time. That is a more targeted and defensible request than scrapping the format entirely, and it is the kind of incremental adjustment that NASCAR's competition department is theoretically capable of making. The Suarez angle sharpens the debate. Daniel Suarez won the race having spent part of it a lap down. His victory was the product of a gutsy strategy call and favorable timing, with the rain not of dominating the field over 600 miles. Hamlin's car was demonstrably faster for most of the night. That gap between merit and outcome is exactly where critics of the stage format argue the system produces results that reward positional luck as heavily as sustained pace. Hamlin's acknowledgement that Spire and Suarez have been living in track position all season and that their pace is average relative to where the playoff bubble sits is the most analytically honest thing said about the result by anyone in the garage. He gave Suarez credit for executing within the team's actual ceiling. He also, by implication, named what the win was and was not. That distinction matters for how we evaluate the result going forward. Hamlin's comments have landed exactly as you would expect, splitting the NASCAR audience cleanly along the fault line that has existed since 2017. The anti-stage caution contingent has amplified his remarks immediately. For them, this is a prominent credentialed driver confirming what they have been arguing for years, that the format artificially distorts results in ways that do not reflect competitive merit. The fact that it came in the context of the Coca-Cola 600, one of the sport's most prestigious events, gives the criticism added weight. The pro stage or format neutral contingent has pushed back by pointing to what the format provides: consistent points opportunities for midfield teams, strategic variety broadcast structure. And the fact that Suarez has come back from a lap down to a race win is exactly the kind of story the format enables. Without stage cautions providing field bunching opportunities, a driver who goes a lap down in the first half of a 600-mile race has almost no path back to contention. The irony that the most emotionally resonant win of the Charlotte weekend, Suarez's tribute to Busch, was partially enabled by the very format Hamlin is criticizing is not lost on anyone. The stage system gave Suarez the opportunity. The rain gave him the result. Hamlin was the better car. All of those things are simultaneously true, and the tension between them is exactly what makes this debate interesting. Hamlin's public criticism generates enough internal pressure that NASCAR's competition department opens a genuine review of stage caution length and compression options for long-distance events. Not an elimination, a calibration. The sport finds a way to preserve the strategic variety the format provides while reducing the time cost of mandatory cautions in races where weather windows are tight. The Coca-Cola 600 becomes the case study that finally moves the needle on an argument that has been stalled for years. And Hamlin, whose car was the class of the field on Sunday, converts his frustration into advocacy that actually changes something. NASCAR circles the wagons, defends the format publicly, and the criticism fades within 2 weeks as the season moves to the next venue. Hamlin's comments generate social media engagement, but no institutional response. The stage caution debate returns to its usual background noise level. The Coca-Cola 600 result stands without qualification, and the next time a crown jewel race gets shortened by weather in a format-heavy final stage, the same argument restarts from the same place. With no progress made in the interim, the sport had an opportunity to examine something real. It chose not to. Denny Hamlin led 75 laps of the Coca-Cola 600. He won a stage. He had the fastest car in the field when the race mattered most. He finished third. The driver who won the race had gone a lap down earlier and recovered on a strategy call and good timing. Both results came from the same format operating the same way it always does. Hamlin's argument is not that the outcome was unfair. It is that the format compressed the race distance enough that the fastest car never got to prove it over the full distance. That is a real argument. And here is the question I want you to take into the comments. Is Denny Hamlin right? Do stage cautions cost NASCAR more than they give it? Or is the format the reason midfield teams like Spire can compete at all? And Hamlin just lost a race he should have won regardless of the rules. Pick a side. This debate has been waiting to happen for 8 years. Subscribe to stay with us for the full playoff picture coverage. The standings shifted at Charlotte, and the second half of this season is going to be worth watching.